War Baby last night on Chris Duet's. Why is War Baby going to join us and grab a spot or not?
Oh no, I'm not sure if she wants to. She can if she wants to,
Yeah,
though.
exactly. There's 2 free spots. Go for it.
Yeah, she's invited, but she knows that.
Cool.
Yeah, she said maybe in a bit.
Yeah.
So we have Melanie, who is still lying. At least I believe that Melanie is still lying. She is saying that she again has complete faith in her aunt, that these things are all just coincidences. It has come up that the medical examiner did determine that the brother, Alex Cox, that his death was of natural causes. So
yeah, right.
That one, as crazy as it sounds, and as many of these unfortunate accidents that happen around Melanie and Lori, this one is supposed to be a actual natural death. And
are they going to dig up? Are they going to dig up the victim? Are they going to dig him up and do an autopsy and tests and all that, or not? Or are they just going to take their word for it?
On the brother?
Yeah.
So if we're talking about the brother, then yes, they have done an autopsy. And then the Tammy Daybell, the wife of Lori's now husband,
I
Chad,
heard about that as well. Yeah.
Yes, she has been exhumed, and she is the jury is still out. We don't actually know what was her cause of death.
Insane story, isn't it?
And they may just be,
it's an insane story, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
Rabbit holes everywhere you look.
And I am of the persuasion, or at least my hope, is that those children are alive.
The last time they were seen was at a national park or something, wasn't it? Was that the last photo?
Yeah. The last time the teenage Tylee, last time she was seen was in Yellowstone Park.
That's right. I remember seeing that.
That was September 8th or something like that. And JJ was seen maybe a week or two after that, and that's the last time that they have seen either of these children alive. But according to Lori's mom, she spoke with she spoke with the child. So if they were alive,
they would.
You know, and as far as if they were alive, they would show themselves, because this is a bunch of people with really extreme beliefs. I think that they could very well, because they believe that the world is going to end July 22nd. So we are walking on borrowed time right now. The rest of us, they're getting prepared. So if they're preparing, it's possible that they've got the children somewhere safe, and where they will wait out the end of the world.
In a cult in the woods somewhere.
Yeah, I hope. That's a hope. And now gonna go into my last episode that I did, and that was the Fear of the Big Black Man, where and I'm not, you're pretty up to date on what's going on in the States. So we have had another rash of killings of young black men, and by police and by private.
Yeah, I saw the jogger one. I heard about the jogger guy. He was just shot just for no reason whatsoever.
There's been a few since then.
Really? That was only last week, or whatever it was.
Yeah. And this is why I'm asking if the media is instigating, or are they really reporting? Because when I say there's been a rash, all of these are events that have happened prior, but nobody was reporting on it. So the Ahmaud Arbery case that you were just speaking about, that occurred in, I believe it was February. So, and it's just now making news because Black people started making noise. Then we had the Breonna Taylor incident where the police raided the wrong home and killed the young lady.
I heard about that. Oh man.
Yeah. So she was shot eight times.
8 times.
Police 8 times.
What? Was she unarmed? And she was just in the wrong house at the wrong time at the wrong place.
But no, she was in her
she was
home.
in the right place. They were in the wrong place. Oh man.
The police were in the wrong place.
She didn't. Yeah, that's just shocking. I've not heard of that.
She died, and her boyfriend, who was in the bed with her when this went on, he pulled his gun and he started shooting because he had no idea who was entering that home. And, he ended up being arrested 20 minutes after he watched his girlfriend be gunned down. Oh yeah, she said looking forward to seeing what July 23rd holds. Yeah, pretty much we should be all dead by then. But yeah.
Oh man, with Brianna, virus. This is why I'm up. It's 2 a.m. I've got nothing to do tomorrow. I'm in lockdown, so why not talk some true crime with whoever.
I keep when we cross the pond, I keep forgetting about time differences. I'm thinking everybody is sitting up at 7 o'clock. No, just like me.
It's 10 past 1 a.m. here now.
Wow. Well, thank you for hanging out with me.
Yeah. Well, you're going up the media. When all these white guys with guns stormed that Senate building, I thought if that was a load of black guys with guns storming a Senate building, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't have even got up the steps, would they?
No, actually, you're 100% correct. That. Yeah, it's a huge double standard.
Exactly what I was going to say. That is just they were in the Senate building in police faces with the weapons of war draped around their shoulder. Now, I personally over here in England, your gun culture. I mean, not your your country's. Some people's obsession with guns in your country is alien to me. There was one crime, Newtown, when all the kiddies were on foot. I thought, this is it. This is it's still the worst crime. Being a dad myself, that I can imagine the kids would line up against the wall, weren't they? And and whatever happened. I thought, this is it. 36-year-old executed.
When they come to their senses,
this has to be the crime that changes gun law in America, and nothing. I remember Obama crying, and I believe he tried his best because I did like Barack Obama. I thought he was pretty real, but the media really, I don't think jumped on the fact that a load of white men thought they could carry powerful rifles into a Senate building. If that was 40 black guys with machine guns, and some of them had machine guns on their backs, wouldn't even
40 of anyone else
wouldn't even go up the steps. Hispanic. If it was 40 Mexicans, wouldn't even go up the steps.
Right.
It's very, very odd. Maybe some. Obviously, I haven't seen all the press, but the ones the reports I've seen have not even touched on the fact that if that was 40 Mexicans or 40 black men or whatever, skinheads even, far right, they wouldn't even got up the steps. It looked like a bunch of farmers with shotguns after them.
So women probably wouldn't have even made it in.
Yeah. Well, no, the women actually they did a silent protest. I remember women did a silent protest, and they were even arrested. Some 80-year-old woman was arrested on a Zimmer frame because she refused to move from the Senate or some Senate floor. So yeah, you're right. Even the women got arrested for doing a silent protest, but not what a single. There must be a law against it, surely. There has to be a law against it somewhere.
Well,
carrying a gun into
I'm going to guess that there isn't. Well, that's a lot of feedback because there's nothing being done. She said, "Oh my God, 40 women. I'm multitasking."
There was a group of women, War Baby, that did a silent. I think it was what's that mum's group? Mums Just Guns. I can't remember what they're called, but they all staged a sit-in somewhere in the Senate in America, and half of them got arrested. They were doing nothing wrong. They were just sitting there. Like I said, there was an 80-year-old woman on a Zimmer frame, refused to move, back of the van. It was just unbelievable. But again, these guys can walk in with AK whatevers, and as a Brit, that's completely alien to me. I'm afraid I don't know what else to say about that. Really,
I don't have the answer either. It's totally unfair. However, I mean, I don't mean that we should be able to walk around with guns too. Nobody should be able to just intimidate people, because that's basically what they were trying to do. That should be considered an act of terrorism. You're taking guns and weapons to a building of legislation, and you're trying to force your way with your weapons, and that is it's and I'm still like not recording. I don't understand why it's not.
It says recording at the top.
It is. See, mine says not recording.
Oh, I think that's maybe because I don't know, maybe that's because you're the host. But yeah, no, it says record. This is only my second ever time. And like I said, I was on last night with Chris Duet on Criminal, whatever it's called, his podcast. I can't remember now. And yeah, no, it said it up there as well for him. So yeah, you are doing it right.
Okay, it's taking its time. So yeah, so that was my question. Is the media instigating?
Because I wouldn't say they're instigating, but they're being negligent.
If this was a big story, as big as they are making it now, why didn't they report on these incidents when they first happened? Because now we're months behind. All these people we're talking about have been in their grave for over a month already. Why are we just now hearing big groups of them now? Is it to incite us? Is it to make Black people angry? Because if that's what the goal is, we're pissed off.
I wouldn't say it's to make you angry, because that's my opinion, that if they didn't cover it at all, then you could say, why aren't you covering it at all? But the fact that at least they're covering it, maybe they gave the families time to grieve. I'm just playing devil's advocate. I know journalists. I'm just playing devil's advocate here. Maybe if they had jumped on it straight after, the day after, people will hang on a minute. Let the guy get, a British thing. In England, that's what we would think. In England, there's a massive problem of journalists in England. Denzel Washington had a brilliant interview about the need to be first. And every time I see a pointless story about someone's personal life, I think of Denzel Washington. It's on YouTube somewhere. I can't remember what it's called. And he just rips into this reporter for about 5 minutes. And it's the best 5-minute interview I've ever heard in my life. The need to be first, fact checking, and all of this business. And in England, it's the same. It's horrific. The journalists in England are horrific. And they're bulletproof. They never, ever, ever get any kind of comeback. It's horrible.
So when I think about here, I think about, for instance, Kobe Bryant.
Oh, bless him, man.
The helicopter hadn't even finished crashing when it was already TMZ reporting Kobe Bryant is dead, and they're saying all his daughters was on the helicopter. The story changed 1,000,002 times before we actually got the right story. So if they will disregard him with his power and his family's feelings, they're not considering our feelings.
No.
I think that they are inciting a riot. If it bleeds, it leads. We know that.
I reckon if they'd have gone, say the jogger, what's his name? I should say, what's his name? The guy who was shot jogging, and the bloke filmed it. What was the name of that jogger that was shot?
Now who? The jogger, Ahmaud Arbery.
You say Mr. Arbery out of respect. I shouldn't say him. He if say the day after they started going wham, when everyone's upset and everyone's on the street corners crying, then I would say maybe they were trying to whip something up, because everyone's emotions so raw and so angry. The fact that was it a week or a month or whatever they've waited. A month probably too long. A month is too long. But I think the fact they didn't really whip things up when everyone's so angry and so raw, maybe, I don't know. I'll tell you what, in this country, they'd have been all over it straight away, as you said, like the Kobe Bryant thing. So maybe the media haven't done such a terrible thing in waiting a little bit.
Right, War Baby. Now, I see what you're saying too.
Yeah,
the local media
You guys know
or
better than me. I'm just trying to think of how it works. You know, how media can sometimes be completely heartless, and you see them camping on people's lawns after they lose a loved one and stuff like that. But it sounds like they've waited a little bit. Sounds like they've waited a little bit.
And I can understand why you look at it from that lens, because you're looking at it from a perspective of a person who is not here.
Exactly.
And yeah, it's not like you're getting the news, but this it's so real over here. It's real. Like and I did the episode last week called Fear of the Big Black Man, and I got a couple of responses. And I got one from a lady named Fleeta, and she lives in Canada. So she's been one of my listeners since I started the podcast, and she wrote me a long email, and she asked that I not particularly share it because she doesn't want to look like she's white splaining a situation. But I did ask, what can we do? How do we bridge this thing together? And one of the things that I will mention that Fleeta said in her email was that she intentionally moved her son to an area that is diverse. Wow. So she intentionally made sure that he got a different perspective than the one that she grew up in, or that she had begun to raise him in. She realized that he needed to see an alternative. And I pretty much felt the same way, and I did the same thing. A lot of people know my hometown is Gary, Indiana. My son is an adult now, but when he was a child, he spent a couple of years here in Houston with his dad. And I think that might have been the best thing that I could have done for him, because he understood how to blend in with other people, that everything is not going to be from a Black perspective. We were from a place that's 98% Black, or I'm exaggerating. I'll say 80% Black. So if all you see is Black people all day, then white people, Hispanic people are a foreign concept to you. And that's not the reality of America. America is supposed to be the melting pot of the world. And of course that is changing, but not through any fault of the citizens.
I watched Law and Crime, and I watched a trial about a young lady who was in a stolen car, and the policeman shot into the car 13, 14 times. And I'm sorry, it's late, can't remember the names. But again, they knew there was two black people. Sorry, I don't know how to put it. Two black suspects in the car, and the car went forward and then went back, and there was no one there was no one in danger behind the car. And went pa 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 bang, and he got off. He got away with it. It's just, you're right. There is a major problem with. It seems like, obviously you hear about the high profile cases, and you also hear about policemen get away with it. It's just I don't know. Yeah, it's very, very, it's an emotional subject for you, isn't it? So,
it's sticky, right? It's a sticky subject. Now I got an email from Hell Yeah 88.
All right.
And I don't really know what he heard, because if he listened to the whole episode, which he had to get my email address, if he listened to the entire episode, then he heard me say that we're tired of this happening. We're tired of burying our sons. I worry about my son every time he leaves up out of the house. So I asked, what can we do? His response to me was, if you don't love this country, you're free to leave. Oh. Now, what part of being tired and being afraid means I don't love this country? Because to be quite honest, I'm not going anywhere. My people built this motherfucker. Excuse my French.
You're absolutely within your right to say that. Right. That is such a odd thing to say when people have been shot and they've been killed. Oh, who are human beings with mums.
Hell yeah, 88. 88 is a neo-Nazi. He might have thought that he got one over my head. But 88 is neo-Nazi for Heil Hitler. The letter H is 8. 8 is Heil Hitler. So he just pretty much let me know who he was with his name. And I could be reading too much into it, but I don't think I am.
As for what you could do about it, more black police officers.
I mean, it's not only white police officers that's doing this.
I must admit, I haven't seen very many cases where a black policeman is.
There will not be a lot of cases, but it is not only white police. And I could probably, if I felt like it, mention a whole lot of black, things that I've seen with my own eyes, where it being a black officer on a black quote unquote suspect or a person of interest or whatever.
It's increasingly difficult to love a country that doesn't love us, and that go, yeah.
But the thing is, I'm not gonna never let you say that. As long as the blood, sweat, and tears of my ancestors is all through this place, especially in the South where I am, I'm not going nowhere. You're gonna have to kick me out.
What makes me go after 98% of America, I would say, want people to stop being shot and stop being killed. You all want the same thing, apart from the NRA. Don't get me started. Apart from them, they're the 2%. There must be a way forward to stop school shootings and stuff like that. There just has to be a way to stop. Like one of the school shooters' mums lived in the inner city, and she had 2 rifles, 2 handguns, and I'm like, why?
The NRA is going to continue to have the lobby strength because they have the money.
They're a cult.
You can listen
they are a cult.
Broke.
The NRA are a cult. Be all and they're a cult.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. But as long as they've got money, their voices will be heard, and it will be 100% louder than anything that we can say behind any microphone or anything else. Nothing that we'll say is going to match that money unless we get money and put it behind this cause, of getting tougher regulations. If you have to have a gun, I can understand having a gun, but
I completely agree. One gun, handgun, whatever. Why does someone living in a city with no forests or game to hunt need 2 or 3 rifles and this? And I'm like, just takes a bad guy to break into your house. I'm not saying the gun owners would snap one day, and although that happens, I'm like, why would you have all these? Again, it's a UK America thing. I thought after Newtown, I thought that's it. They're going to sort it out, and
especially when it's babies, right? Okay, well, I'm going to move on to my final subject because this is a big one, and I think it's about to be something that is going to that's going to affect the world the same way it's affecting North America, and that is incels. And you know what an incel is? Have you heard of that movie? I'm gonna read my notes because I want to make sure I get it right. But first, I'm going to tell you some of the things that they're behind. On May 23rd, 2014, in Isla Vista, California, Elliot Rogers opened fire at UC Santa Barbara sorority house. He killed 6 people and himself. He injured 14 people, and he left behind a 107,000-word manifesto. Then on April 23rd, let me make sure I'm getting this in the right order now. It's a lot of them. Okay, August 4th, 2007. So we're going back. George Sodini, LA Fitness in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. He killed 3 people plus himself, and 9 people were injured. Then we go to October 1st, 2015. Chris Harper Mercer, Roseburg, Oregon, killed 9 people, injured 8. Then he killed himself. July 31st, 2016, Sheldon Bentley, That's in Edmonton, Alberta. That's in
Yep.
Canada. Stomped a man to death.
He what? Sorry.
He stomped a man to death.
Oh right. Okay.
Yeah, because in Canada they're just like you. They don't have guns. They're different way. Yeah. December 7th, 2017, William Atchison, Aztec, New Mexico, killed 2 people, then committed suicide. February 14th, 2018, Nicholas Cruz, that's the Parkland, Florida.
Him, yeah.
17 killed, and he was arrested. November 2nd, 2018, Scott Byerly, 2 killed, 5 injured in Tallahassee, Florida, and he committed suicide. Then, April 23rd, 2018, in Toronto, the van attack with Alec Manassian, he mowed down pedestrians, killed 10 people, 16 people were injured. He was arrested. And last but not least, on February 24th of this year, the Crown Spa attack was in the exotic massage parlor. 17-year-old unnamed suspect attacked them with a machete. He killed 1 and injured 1. And he has been charged with terrorism. And what all of those cases have in common is the incel movement. And what an incel is a involuntarily celibate person.
Right.
Now, does this sound like the type of people who would just go on killing sprees? Involuntarily celibate, and they are angry about it. And it has gone from them just complaining to each other on these message boards and websites and Reddit. They've gotten shut down on Reddit. They're now find their little home on 4chan. They form a community around whining about not getting laid.
Right.
They can't find a sex partner, even though they want one. And they took this movement from a young lady named Alana, who was from Canada. She was feeling like she was involuntarily celibate, and she whined a bit about it on a blog, and they took her blog over. Now they are over 40,000 members strong worldwide. They believe men are entitled to sex, even going so far as to desire the government to intervene by forcing women to have sex with them.
So this is basically going to turn into a sex cult, yeah?
I mean, it's already one. And further, even worse, they are now turning to violence. So it's one thing to whine about these things and to feel entitled and to have these women being subjugated and made just a sexual object. This is how they see women. It's just women walking around, and they are so narcissistic that they believe that it's all towards them.
I'll tell you what will come of this. At least one serial killer.
These are like spree killers. Yeah. How do we know that there's not one active right now?
There will be. Unfortunately, there will be. Maybe that's another show for you to do another day. But I would love to get into that. I'll tell you, I would love to get into that.
So these guys, and it's mostly men, they believe 80% of women only desire the top 20% of the most attractive and or rich men. I see you, War Baby. I hear you.
Yeah, I read that.
They say, okay, non-white incels believe that white guys have it the easiest. So it's crossed the color lines. This is one thing that they can all agree on, that we are pieces of shit for not sleeping with them, and that white guys have it easier than black guys or Hispanic guys or any other race.
Just so I'm completely clear, these guys have set up some kind of forum because they can't get laid.
Right.
That's it.
That's what
they moan on their keyboards that they cannot have sex.
Yeah. And then they have these
and now they're turning to violence because they can't have sex. sexual frustration, I suppose.
I mean, but listen to the categories.
Oh my God.
Okay, they call the best of the best men Chads.
Chad.
They call the best of the best women Stacy's, and all of them are having sex. In these people's mind, the Chads and the Stacy's are having sex. Now, Becky's are less attractive women, but they have sex too. So I'm thinking, if Chads and Stacy's are having sex together, who are the Becky's having sex with? Because there's only one kind of, or two kinds of men, Chads and incels. That's the way they feel. It's either you're a Chad or you're an incel. So who is Becky sleeping with? Because she's supposed to be less attractive. And I don't understand, who would she would be the person you would think that they would try to hook up with, but they feel like Becky's are beneath them.
So where does this lead into violence? Because it just sounds like a load of desperate, horny people moaning and bitching that they're not, which is where the potential for the developing of a serial offender will, because they feel marginalized and they feel on the outside world and they feel angry, and I'll show them, and what did you say? I'm a Chad. I'll show you I'm a Chad. And that's how serial offenders start, isn't it? Because they feel on the outside of society.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I was getting to, like, why all of this is important, because according to them, we all fit in one of these groups. So if an incel chooses to become violent, it's going to be against his opposite, namely anyone they think is having sex. Anybody that they think is having sex and leaving them out of the fun is a target.
I'm with you.
And then yes, we've got a whole list of examples of what they do when they become violent. And then when the people become violent, like for instance, Elliot Rodger, the one that I talked about in the Isla Vista murders, and he left that huge manifesto, they look at him like a god. They call him the supreme gentleman. They look at him, he martyred for the cause for them. And there are a group of them who pretty much almost promise to follow in his footsteps.
Right. Yeah. In one organization, there'll always be a group of rogues. There'll always be that hard right, if you like, kind of ideology where this means more, Yeah.
Right. And then War Baby says the manifesto was interesting and he left YouTube videos, and he did. And I went into a rabbit hole of, I watched some videos today and I wish I didn't have to because it was just, it's like, why? And the thing is, like, the Elliot Rodger, to me, he was a good looking kid. He wasn't an ugly kid. There was nothing wrong with him. And then there was another one who kind of looked like Adam Driver to me. And I think Adam Driver is a fine man. So I'm like, okay,
brainwashed.
You believe
brainwashed.
They have convinced themselves. Yeah. And then of course they act like douchebags. So of course, people are not going to gravitate towards you if you're a dick. If you are a nice person, you can talk to these women. Absolutely. So why do you feel like they owe you something when all you have to do is present yourself as anything but a dick?
In all seriousness, if I was the FBI and the BAU, I would be infiltrating this group, because it just sounds like it's a breeding ground for hatred towards women.
Well, I think, that's exactly what it is. It's a breeding ground of misogyny. So exactly. There's our first thing, but it's also, they are targeting men that they believe look better than them or are richer than them. So now everybody has a target on them. Everybody. If it's a guy who feels like, hey, that guy looks better than me, I'm going to shoot him or run him over or pull out a machete or whatever they do. How do you combat it's one thing when there's ISIS, and there's another thing, with of neo Nazis or alt right people. You can almost picture those people. How do you know who has that low of a self esteem that they would mean you harm? Because that's all it is. Yes, it's jealousy taken to the extreme.
It's alpha male, it's
Yeah.
ego, pride,
Mm-hmm.
it's stupidity, it's mainly ego. Honestly, it's alpha male ego. That's what, and then they want to be in control of something as well. They want to be in control of something. They want to be empowered. They want to be. It's. I'm just. Yeah, it sounds really, really dark to me. To be honest,
It's scary. It's
sounds
scary.
dark.
And they talk about black pills and clear pills, or I believe that's what they call it. Black pills, I wrote down because they said it's basically they're hopeless. They feel like if you take the black pill, you are acknowledging that you are biologically inferior, that fate or destiny is not lining up for you to have a meaningful relationship with a woman, or even a sexual relationship with one. So they don't fight against it. They just feel hopeless. And when people get to be to that point, that's when they become dangerous,
Vulnerable to this
and
kind of thing. Oh, look, there's someone else just like me, and oh, there's someone else. Oh, there's thousands of them. Yeah.
how do you find another person who is this bat shit crazy? It's
Dark
just,
web. Simple as that.
and you said the alpha male, they call it the omegas and the betas. And of course the omegas are the alpha guys, the chads, and the betas are them. They feel as if they're forever alone and that they're shy, but it's really shy
I'll tell you what, I
guys
bet they're
are.
all alpha males on the keyboard. I bet they're all
And
alphas on the keyboard, but in person, they're more like betas.
and when I watched the videos that I was watching, they are very, very particular about how other people see them. Oh no, I have to come across as intelligent. You can be intelligent, and they're using a lot of words, and it sounds like big words, and they sound intelligent, but at the end of the day, we're seeing that you are not. This is not something you're not in control. You don't have control of yourself.
That's what they want.
And
That is, you've just hit the nail on the head. That is what they want, to control their own destiny, and their ego is refusing to accept that other women or find these blokes more attractive than them. They're in pride and ego. They are deluded, probably. Some of them, half of them are probably deluded.
And that's why I'm saying this is scary.
It's very scary. You're quite right.
She said, I love watching True Crime Unsolved, hear about this for the first time. And it's the truth, because
I've never
this
heard
guy,
this before. I've never heard of this before. This is crazy. And like I said, if the authorities aren't, like, if they wanted a group of people to study and for serial offenders of the future, I mean, what more do you want? They've got all, you've just listed the ingredients of a serial offender. Like, if you,
and I think they are, and I think they are not being aggressive because they don't want them to go dark web on them. They want them to stay where they can kind of follow up with what they're doing. And Canada has done what everybody should do with these guys, which is they're calling it terrorism. So the last incident that happened in February, that young man has been charged with a terrorism. He has been hit with a terrorism charge, and that's exactly what it is. They are organized. They have the numbers to be a huge threat, and it is spreading. It wasn't just simply a U.S. thing first, and then it spreads over to Canada, and no telling how far it will go.
Especially in these times where everyone's feeling a bit isolated, and everyone's feeling a bit down, and everyone's feeling a bit marginalized in society. It could not be a worse time.
And this is why I brought it up. Because you hit my title for this was Isolation Becomes Deadly. Because now they at least had each other. Now the world is getting smaller and smaller and smaller until they're left with nothing but themselves. Yes. And being left with yourself can sometimes be a dangerous thing. I mean, if you're not wrapped too tight anyway, it can become dangerous being left alone with yourself and your own thoughts. And I can't say for sure what provoked the young man in Canada to attack these women with a machete, but one of the elements, one of the ingredients was being an incel and identifying with the incel movement. Yes, they're their own worst enemy.
Fox News will probably have them on the Tea Party soon enough, won't they?
I'm sorry.
Fox News will probably turn them into a Tea Party, political party.
Oh my God, I would hate to see who they vote for.
Oh man, I had no idea. I had no idea about any of this before you just brought it up.
Oh, that guy in Arizona was an incel too. I had no clue that he was one too. You can put him on the list. And then there's the one. I hope that wasn't an incel thing. The one at the naval. I think they stopped it before this guy got the shooting, but it was at one of the naval yards or whatever. Yeah, he attempted to shoot it up, and
that was real terrorism according to War Baby. That was real terrorism.
Yes.
But that's probably a reason for a lot of school shootings. Is they're probably done by young lads who who are angry that they're outcasts. That's probably a lot. 90% of it is, they don't feel loved and they don't feel noticed, and now you'll know me kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh, that Naval Air Station guy in Corpus Christi, he had ties to Al Qaeda. So I mean, he got pretty damn close. We shouldn't even have them running around here being that comfortable where they can get into
on a military base as well.
Right. Yeah, this is getting to be too weird.
Oh man.
But yeah, this is, I guess what I'm trying to do is sound an alarm, because these people, they're out there. They are out there and they are angry. And
they're angry they can't have sex. Is that literally their motto?
That's it.
We can't have sex.
Yes.
Oh.
They call themselves unfuckable.
Oh.
They try to looks max. So looks maxing means they try to work out and do things to make themselves equal to the Chads. But if you don't work on your stupid
ideology,
yeah, you're not gonna ever find a woman. Forever alone and love shy is what they call themselves. And I was talking about the black pill and the clear pill before I jump away to something else. And I told you about the black pill. The clear pill just means you're living in the delusion. You're living in our world. If
I respect anyone's point of view on anything, but this sounds very, very dark to me. It sounds bizarre.
Absolutely. It's very scary to me as well. And the thing, I've talked about it before, because they assert themselves in almost every group. And I did a different podcast called After the Snap, and that one was about sci-fi. I'm a nerd. So I do Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel. I do all of that. And I talked about it for a whole year leading up to Avengers Endgame. And they even had a foothold in that. And I'm like, how can you be upset over fictional movies? These people aren't real. That we've made.
we had I don't know if have you ever seen The Following?
The Following?
Yeah.
Yes.
You seen that?
With Was it you talking about the TV show?
That was brilliant. Yeah, that was one of my favorite. Oh man, I binged that. I finished that
Was
in
it
2
Kevin
nights.
Bacon? Who was in that?
That's right, Kevin Bacon, and he was chasing Joe Carroll, the serial killer, and he had a cult.
Right.
Is there a leader to this? Is there a leader to this group? Is there one guy? Is there a leader to this group that you're?
As far as I know, there's no one person. Like I said, they look up to the people who have lost, who've lost their lives. So they made martyrs out of Elliot Rogers, and I think Alec Manassian, the one that's locked up in Canada. They kind of look up to him as well. Anybody who enacted their rage, that is their idol. So as long as they're looking up to these guys, we have to be prepared for anything. And that's a War Baby. You want to watch the following?
It's amazing. It's absolutely phenomenal. Have you watched You on Netflix?
You?
It's called
I haven't watched all of the second season yet.
Oh my god, that just gets better and better and better. It's just amazing. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal.
You is good. That I like I like how they are progressing. I just haven't watched the entire second season.
I won't ruin it for you. It's brilliant. It's absolutely.
Yeah, I'm not even going to ask the question that I was going to ask because I don't want
to ask any questions. I'll go, yeah.
But yeah, I've been those are some good shows, and I mean, even have you watched Mindhunter?
Love it. Binged it in the first night. 6 hours off, done.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I love the fact they're building BTK into it. He's the guy. They never explain who he is, but he appears every checking his mailbox and stuff like that. So I'm interested to see. I love talking about unsolved cases and how they caught. He was just beyond stupid in the end, wasn't he? Can you trace a floppy disk?
He's they're gonna tell him the truth.
It's like I reckon he wanted to be caught. I think he knew the game was up. I think that's. But
he had gotten away with it for so long. He would have.
War Baby said personality. I actually think people like him and the Golden State Killer have two multi-person because I said this to Chris Duett last night. How can one person stalking and killing and hunting people, and then he's going home to his family and his daughter and his wife? That is literally polar opposites. That is for me personally. That's two different people in one body. So I don't understand why that's not more investigated. It is the two people, multi-personality disorder. Have you watched his confession in court on YouTube?
Was that yes?
Oh, he's like a robot, isn't he?
Yes, because he was so detached from what he was saying.
Sounds like some kind of. And then I went through the window. Bang! And the judge went, and then what?
So evil.
The only thing he said to law enforcement, is, "I got a roast in the oven." When he was arrested, he hasn't said a word since. He was more worried about his roast dinner cooking in the oven.
Like, when you're not going to be able to eat that, brother, you can cancel that.
But again, he was another one. He was a police officer.
Right.
So there's got to be in his psyche two different people or two different entities.
You also know that they say that people like police are some of the biggest psychopaths. Not all of them, but they are some of the biggest psychopaths. And sociopaths would be like your CEOs of big companies and that kind of thing.
But
they are all
it's the power that comes from being a policeman, isn't it? Power. Yes. What do serial killers like? Power, control, authority. What do policemen have? Power, control. That's why some of them are. Not all of them, obviously, but some have been. Yeah, psychopath is way too wide. Yeah.
Yeah, and me with unsolved cases, you know, like I my
Delphi
favorite,
case.
but I
Delphi.
cannot do unsolved cases. It's just it bugs me that person is still out there.
What, Delphi?
Huh?
Delphi? The
You
Delphi
said,
case? The Delphi case.
you know, and I'm from Indiana
Oh,
originally.
oh, all right. So you know all about that bridge and
So yes, and those things give me a headache. And like I said, the area from Indiana that I'm from is northwest, right out of outside of Chicago. So it's mostly black. So that person wouldn't come to Gary to hide, you know,
yeah.
because they're saying it's a white guy, and he we would never see him in Gary. He would stand out like a sore thumb. He's got to be blending in. If he's still in Indiana, he's got to be blending in the southern part of Indiana, and there's got to come a time where that guy's going to be called, because that just gives me a headache.
I can't think of another case where they've got video and his voice and
Right.
two different sketches, which makes me think there might be two people involved in the crime itself.
And they look so different from
Totally
each other.
different. Totally
Yeah,
different.
two different people. So
And
yeah, I don't
I
know.
think the key to it is the sentence down the hill. How on earth would a stranger who doesn't know the area know what is down the hill?
Right. It's
How
got
would
to
they
be
how would they
somebody.
know that? The person
It's got to
obviously
be
knew
somebody
there's an
familiar
area.
with that area.
There's an area
Mm-hmm.
down there where you can take them. Guys, down the hill. It's like I'm in control. I know where I'm going. This is what I'm going to do.
Right.
So
But just who would do that?
it's
To those
and
kids.
they haven't. And do you know what? To the police's credit, there's been no leaks of information of how they died, or
Right.
but you get the impression where every time they step up to the podium that it was a really horrific scene to take in. It was unfortunately it wasn't the nicest thing to see, or well, it wouldn't be, but you know what I mean. It
Right.
was
Yeah.
whoever did it obviously, wasn't very nice. But it's just a fascinating case of Delphi. It's just
That one, and I mean,
well, they were
I believe
taking DNA
they
evidence
do
from the
have
family,
DNA.
so
I'm sorry.
they took DNA evidence of someone,
Yeah,
I think, didn't they?
I think they do have DNA evidence. I
Well,
do.
yeah, it's just
And you know, yeah, DNA at some point it's gonna all catch up to whoever this is. If there's DNA involved, I have no doubt that within say 5 years we will have a suspect. They will mess up.
I watched
And
the trial on a Law and Crime, and this guy. The only thing that latched him to the crime was his DNA was on the victim's joystick, gear stick, and steering wheel. There was they'd never met. They had no relationship. This was 35 years ago.
mm-hmm.
There was no evidence a past had ever. But the only thing that got him the death penalty was this little bit of DNA on the joystick and the steering wheel, and it was a real brutal crime as well, which is why they went back and solved it. It's
Yeah,
just DNA is changing the game, man.
we're hearing so many of these cases are being solved. I just covered one the week before last about Angie Hausman in Missouri, and she was killed in 1980. God, I can't even remember, 1980 something. But her killer was found last year using DNA. So I mean, we're seeing cases get closed that nobody had an idea would ever be closed. This evidence sat there for over 25 years, and that is the piece of evidence that caught that son of a bitch. And I'm just ecstatic.
What's interesting is these guys are now 70 or 80 or 60, 70, 80 years old. They're handymen in small towns who have
Right.
probably killed 3 or 4 people back in the day, and the DNA and the people they're getting arrested, and people in the town are like, no way, no, you got the wrong guy. That's what they called him, Sleepy Joe. They called Golden State Killer, wasn't it? Or Angry Joe, who used to sit in a cafe barking at people or something, didn't he?
Yeah,
They're legitimately going to have to build more prisons
a
because
real old man.
an OAP jail for all the worst serial killers.
So what about, okay, we'll go, because I know I'm running, I'm going to end up running over about 10, 15 minutes because I'm enjoying my conversation.
Isn't it 2 hour slots, isn't it? Is it 2 hour slots?
I don't usually go for 2 hours. But I can. So what about Madeleine McCann?
Oh my God. Oh, this case. I'll tell you what, this case, right? I don't think the parents murdered her. Oh, hello. More babies in the house. Hello.
I had some of my kids out here earlier, so I was just listening. But
some of your kids? How many have you got?
3. I have 3, but the 2 of them are grown. So, and I have a 17-year-old, so we were watching TV. But she's buggered off. That was for you, buddy.
Welcome to the
Thank
show.
you. At least pop in and say hi.
So Madeleine McCann, right? This is now I can probably tell you a little bit more about this, and you already know, maybe because I'm in the UK and I've seen every little bit of. So she was taken. Well, no, go back. There is no evidence whatsoever in that apartment that an abduction took place. None. Obviously, the child's missing, right? But that doesn't have to be an abduction, does it?
No, it doesn't.
The parents left their children unattended in a foreign country.
Yeah.
They were not within viewing distance of the apartment.
No matter what they try to say, you could not see your door from where you were sitting. There's no way.
Right.
In my opinion, the whole case revolves around that the group having dinner at the tapas bar. Something happened. Now, I don't think they murdered Madeleine out of cold blood. For a second, I just don't think they would do that. But something happened. Either she got up, hit her head, and they panicked, or what I mean, something like an accident, or
a John Benet Ramsey kind of thing.
Whatever happened, something happened. Like but the fact that none of them are wearing watches out for dinner, which is why they couldn't give the police times and stuff like that. It's like
we're all drunk too. I mean, that doesn't help that they're all drunk as well.
How do they know how often they were checking the kids if they weren't wearing
watches? Because they said it was every 20 minutes, but if you don't have a watch, then
how the hell do you know that? How do you know that if you're not wearing a watch? One of them went to check on the kids, and the door was open, and he thought he heard a noise, but he didn't go in. I mean, then they've changed their story.
Logical.
It's like, and then Jane Tanner saw someone carrying a child, but her description, and they released, had no face. They had a bloke with black hair and no face. That was their sketch. Google it.
Oh God!
Absolutely insane.
Well, that looks like a lot of people.
Have you watched the Netflix series? Have you watched the Netflix series?
Yeah, I think that's where
you are up to. Okay, so you know a little bit more about it and the dogs, and I fortunately I think there was an accident, or maybe she just had an episode and passed away, and they panicked, and there's just no evidence at all of an abduction.
Yeah, trying to cover up an accident that got out of control, because
where did they put it?
That's the mystery. That is the mystery. All these people saying she was sold to some sex ring. If she was abducted, right? Why would the abductor take her and not
any of the other
two baby twins? There's 2 baby twins next to Madeleine asleep. Why? This is what if they wanted kids for a sex ring, take all 3. They're only babies.
You can raise them all up to be, slaves if that's what you were trying to do. Why would you want one that's going to fight
history? And maybe we'll never find out. But they were sedating Madeleine, I believe. Again, this is what I'm going by the documentary. So maybe one parent went in, sedated Madeleine, and then didn't tell the other one.
Yeah.
And then the other one went in.
And that makes sense. But I still would like to know.
I don't want to get sued, really.
How do you get rid of her? Where does she go?
If there was an abduction, there would be some kind of DNA. There has to be some kind of disturbance in the room, there has to be some kind of. If there was forced entry, there was no forced entry.
But they walking in and out. Who knows if they locked the door or not?
Well, how the hell do they know what time it was? We check the kids every 20 minutes. How do you know this? Because
it's
Madeleine
impossible
McCann.
to know.
Right.
And what's more, like they get so much protection from the press. You go on about the media in America, the press in England, the McCanns are pretty much bulletproof. Anyone who criticizes them is a troll. Anyone who has any questions for them is a troll, is a hater.
But it started to become with the John Bonet case here.
Yeah, rich parents. He's a heart surgeon and she's a GP. If it was a chavvy couple from Stoke on Trent who left their kids unattended, they'd be in prison for neglect.
Yeah,
they would. Right. That's a fact. That isn't me being a troll or a hater. That's true.
So they've basically been cleared by the police, right? The McCanns.
Yeah, they were what they called Aguardos or something, whatever they called them in Portugal. Yeah, they have been cleared. But it's just their attitude sometimes towards the press and the media. Now, if my daughter was taken, I would have been in a Netflix special.
Right.
I'd have been follow us around for a year, be in our lives, see what we're going through. But they wanted no part of the Netflix. I'm like, why would you not want to be in the Netflix special? Surely the one.
Well, it's true because if you're concerned that the Netflix special is going to make you look guilty, the one thing you could do is be in it and try to make sure that that doesn't happen. But their story doesn't stand up to scrutiny. So they can't, be there and be interviewed and get hammered with all of these questions because their answers won't stand up. And the questions people have are valid. But the things you do on vacation with your friends is not indicative of how you would maybe act in your everyday life. But, like I always say, alcohol probably had a lot more to do with it than they're admitting,
And I just can't imagine, I would feel more comfortable if I'm going to leave my child alone while I'm maybe a half a block away. I do it at home. I would not do it in a foreign country. Right. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. It would seem like any parent would not have.
Can I just say it wasn't one night they did that?
Yeah, it was the whole vacation.
It was a whole week. And the neighbor above them, I think, heard Madeleine say, "Where were you last night, Mummy?" Or which is why they then sedated her,
crying or something.
They can't sleep through the night. That's exactly right. Yeah, they. It's a mystery. It's a genuine mystery. And it doesn't sit well with me that the fact they've met the head of the FBI and they've met the head of the CIA and the Prime Minister and the presidents, and the bottom line is they left their kids unattended in a foreign country.
Right.
And they're getting all this. There's £12 million. £12 million has been spent on the search. It's.
And there's no answer. That's the craziest part. Right. You would think that much money would produce something.
Right. One piece of evidence besides this faceless
composite picture.
Composite. Yeah, that's so. Yeah, this is why. Yeah, unsolved cases just drive me nuts.
Did you guys see? Speaking of Netflix, but did you guys see "Don't Fuck with Cats"?
Oh, what? Yeah. They even identified the door lock from a certain Canadian factory in the background of the video.
I mean,
brilliant.
Speaking of solving unsolved cases, I mean, by the end of it, I was a little tired of seeing those people from Facebook, but it just shows you the diligence that people have when they believe in trying to solve something. The links they'll go to try to participate in that.
You had the right ones. They was ready.
They could find Madeleine McCann.
Yeah, right. They need to start a business or something. solving mysteries and get a dog and a van. Practically.
Connive a dog.
Yeah, practically.
Right. That was that was fantastic. How they put those pieces together, because there's a lot of things that, to the point where they're finding stuff in Canada
on Google
by
Earth.
The street view. Right. There was no way I would have been able to do all this.
Yeah, see, but
I can tell
clearly
the story about
neither one of them have any kind of life.
Right.
Before quarantine.
They do now. They're minted now.
This is before quarantine. Imagine what they could do in quarantine.
Right. Zodiac, where you at?
Right.
Zodiac. See, I watched that film the other night. Actually, the Zodiac. I don't think we'll ever find out who Zodiac was, unless they left DNA when he licked the stamp. Well, last time I heard, they were checking the stamp on the envelopes for saliva. I've not heard anything since, to be honest. If you guys want to get really, really freaked out by serial offence, do you know the Murder Accountability Project?
No, I don't think so.
You've never heard of the murder? Oh dear. Right. So if you go to their website, they what they do is they actually sue law enforcement for correct, up-to-date murder detail numbers, locations, time, how they're killed, method, and they try and locate clusters of similar murders.
Wow, interesting.
They were the guys who highlighted, was it Cleveland? No, Detroit maybe? There was 30 ladies killed in sex workers. And it was because of the Murder Accountability Project. It kept going on and on and on. You've got a serial killer here. That it was Detroit or somewhere like that, opened up an investigation recently. So if you go on their website and go to clusters, you can have a look at all the unsolved murders that they've been able to get from law enforcement, and it shows you similar ways of killing.
That sounds
basically
so scary.
No, well, it is. It was a real eye opener for me when I went on Killing Season. Have you seen Killing Season?
Is that a show?
Yeah, that's like the Long Island killer.
Okay. I haven't watched
how that all started. And Killing Season worked for the Murder Accountability Project, and then that's where it just went boom.
Oh,
they really found a load of.
Is that on? That's on Netflix or Hulu? What is that on?
You have to watch that. Killing Season. I'm not sure what it's on now.
I have to look
it's just brilliant. It opens up a whole can of worms. It really does. But yeah, get onto the Murder Accountability Project, and they literally map clusters. That is what they do. They find suspicious clusters in cities and areas, and they try and notify law enforcement.
I'm on it right now. Pretty scary stuff.
Really?
If you go to the top, it should say clusters, and you can check rural and cities. There's two different maps. You can go in inner city maps, clusters, and big circles, and you click on it, and it says 14 deaths in so-and-so years, strangulation or whatever. I can't believe you ladies have never been on it.
Well, we
didn't
know what an incel was.
It's going to blow your mind. It's going to absolutely blow your mind. It's going to... I'll tell you, it's going to be very interesting to you, I think.
Well, that's something. Yeah, that's a rabbit hole to fall down. I appreciate the tip of where
you have to watch the Killing Season.
That is definitely something. I'm writing it down. I'm not
Killing Fields. Have you seen Killing Fields?
The Killing Fields. That seems like something I've heard before.
Not the movie about Cambodia.
It's not a movie. No, it's where is it?
Louisiana? No.
That's it.
Oh, okay.
And Eugene, what's her name? Eugene. Yeah. I don't know. The girl's called Eugene or something.
Okay, I see the Killing Season.
Absolutely superb. I'm educating you guys in American telly. What's going on?
Hey, there's so much to watch. It's difficult.
What on earth is going on here?
It looks like
we got murder happening on our corner. I'll have to watch the telly.
What the hell is going on?
The Killing Season is on A&E and also Netflix. So, I think I remember that from a few years back.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check it out. And
it's superb.
Yeah,
it's brilliant. And that's when the Murder Accountability Project really shot to fame because they identified the cluster, and Josh, what's his name, the guy who made it, went down there, and then the more they went up, the more they went up the, what they call it, interstates. Is that what they're called in America? Motorways, if you like, if you call them over here. They found another cluster and another cluster and another and then that's part of the reason why the FBI opened up the trucker serial killer tracker. Is because there were so many bodies found on the side of the road and trucks stopped. So the Murder Accountability, they're doing a lot of good work. They're doing loads and loads of good work.
I will definitely look into that. And when I'm researching something, I'm pretty sure I'll find a way to make it fit into it. And ain't true crime unsolved, right? I gotta remember to write that down.
What's that? Me? Yeah, no, I've just started. Literally my second day, and I thought, well, what's the username? I thought, well, I love unsolved cases. Absolutely. Yeah, so I'm fascinated by some of the most new, like Delphi and John Benet Ramsey. Who made it a pineapple? Who made it a pineapple before she died? Who fed her before she died?
Her brother.
Are you telling me that a total stranger broke into the house, got the girl out of her bed, and go, "Now, would you like some pineapple, love?
Pineapple and milk.
Would you like some milk?
Ever. That's not normal. Maybe it was an alien.
Would you like some pineapple milk?
Not human.
Pineapple for the road? No.
Yeah.
Right. No, I'm not having that. I think, that is literally the most bizarre explanation. A stranger broke into a house, woke a child up, and said, "I'm going to kidnap you, but do you want some milk and some pineapple before we go?"
While I write this 37-page.
I'm not even going to kidnap you. I'm just going to move you to another room in your own house and leave you there.
Right.
And then magically, the dad finds her in the basement.
Hey, I can't remember. He was with a friend.
Yeah, he had a witness.
He had a witness to someone finding him and being adequately shocked.
And then the police didn't shut the crime scene. The police didn't shut the crime scene.
Yeah. You call the police and then call half of your neighbors.
Quick, come over, contaminate the crime scene.
Yeah, that was intentional. That's an intentional act. Everybody watches TV. Everybody knows that.
Even rich people?
Rich people have more than one TV.
Oh my God.
Rich people have cable.
Oh my Lord. So, wow. Now it all makes sense.
And they have DNA evidence. They have DNA in John Benet. They have DNA, right? You know that?
Yeah.
In her panties and her top. What's going on there? Why are they not putting that in the Familia DNA databases? And why are they? I don't understand what they're hiding. What are they hiding? Why are they not testing it?
Every time like a law enforcement agency is hiding something, I always think, well, they must think it's a cop. The only thing I ever think. Well, they must think it's some kind of cop.
Or because they know it was like her brother or something, and they don't want to. It would be such a big fuck up, wouldn't it? Really, if it was one of the members of the family after all,
Well, the only way to redeem yourself from a fuck up is to solve a fucking case, and that's the thing that we only seem to want to do when we want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
What about Memphis? What about the boys in Memphis? Ever heard of that case?
I mean, I always feel like it's the stepdad.
What, Mr. Hobbs?
Whatever his name was. Yeah, the one stepdad who's just always popping up. I don't know. He always gave me a feeling,
Yeah, and his hair was in a knot. One of the boys, wasn't it? His hair was found in the bindings.
But just like you said, the fuck up. So they already had the three boys, the three young men. So it's like, how are we going to go back and say, oops, after all of this?
The freaky bit about that crime, and it's, again, I've watched every documentary, I've watched all the interrogations. The freaky bit about that crime is Terry Hobb, whoever did it, shall we say, how polished a killer were they? The bindings, they even put sticks in the clothing to keep the clothing in the
random at all. It's very specific in the creepiest kind of way.
Right. They thought
genital mutilation. I mean, why does it need to go that far?
Little things like even putting the bikes in the river. So, whoever committed that crime, that was not their first murder.
Absolutely not.
Not a chance in
to me,
hell
it has
was that.
cop written all over it. Just kidding.
You like cops, don't you?
I don't know. It's not that I don't like cops. Of course I like cops. I like humans, I like any person who's out to do good for other people.
Yeah, no,
I just always feel like when it's the blue line connection. I just always feel like when they're hiding something, like there probably used to be.
I'll give you another one. Colonial Parkways.
I don't know too much about that.
That's got policemen written all over it.
I'm not even the only one that thinks it.
Big, luminous, orange capital letters.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
because all the victims were in lovers' lanes. They all had their driver's license out of their wallet. So it was either a police officer or a law enforcement or a ranger or someone posing.
Exactly. That's what I was going to say, or somebody who knows what to say.
I've also got another theory, if it wasn't that, is the fact that in the murders that could be linked, what was used? Fuel, rope, fire, and water. And there's a massive shipping yard in a town nearby. What do you find at a shipping yard? Water, fire, rope, fuel.
And you want to be confident when you have these thoughts. You want to be confident, like, oh, it was investigated. Of course they looked at that. But, did they? Maybe. Who knows?
Right.
Was there a ship in the dock? Was there a ship in the dock at the time of the murders that
it wasn't there later?
It wasn't there later. But I think more likely that it was someone posing as a law enforcement. But it's similar. There's one in Italy called the Monster of Florence. Exactly the same thing. Like, it's spooky. It's literally identical to the Colonial Parkway murders. It's someone stalking, back roads and unfortunately taking the lives of the people in the car, and it's so similar.
Crimes of opportunity.
I talk to Bill Thomas quite a lot.
Yeah.
And on here, or not on here, but on Messenger and stuff. And I mentioned,
don't tell him that I said that I don't know that much about this case, because we are friends. So never mention that.
Hello, Bill.
Bill Thomas. Don't tell him.
War Baby knows nothing about the Colonial Parkway murders.
I know.
No,
she's so.
I'll tell her. Yeah, no worries. Bye.
What did he say? I'm so nervous. What did he say?
I can't repeat what he said.
You'll have to type it up later.
I will. But I'm not convinced that all the crimes in the are linked, especially not the last. There's three in a cluster, and then there's one kind of miles away from all the others. I don't know if they're all linked.
It's always interesting because it's like you never know when there's another psychopath who's like, oh, maybe this is my opportunity, and then maybe it'll just blend in.
That's Delphi. You've just described Delphi. Opportunity to blend in.
Yeah.
You've just described the offender at Delphi. That's interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so interesting.
And I'm trying to remember. Was that around the same time where there was another set of murders elsewhere in Indiana, in that rural type area?
There is a case, I think, 10 years before it, maybe 15, of exactly the same thing. 2 young girls in the woods.
I think that's the one I'm remembering.
I'm thinking this, and again, so similar. Maybe that's not why they're releasing the cause of death, because they think, hang on, there could be,
this could be the same guy, especially in those types of areas. Like I said, he would never come to my city. we would be standing there looking for him, and he would stand out.
Yeah. Yeah, he wants to blend in. He wants to blend in. That's the thing.
So yeah, he want to go someplace where he can, move around and maybe even find another victim. We never know, huh?
It's incredible.
Yeah. What other unsolved cases do you guys like to follow?
Well, I'm with you. I'm not a big unsolved case fan. Sometimes, I mean, most of the ones I follow, I'd have to say because of the people I know. The only ones I really follow are the ones of, that people advocate for and stuff like that. But I like the satisfaction of the case being solved.
Yeah, exactly. I like going from crime scene to courtroom, following a case all the way through to the very end. There was a trial called McStay. Did you? Charles Merrick?
Yeah, it is out of San Diego. The family.
I watched that from Gabe. I watched that literally from the first day to the last day on YouTube at night. In the evening before bed, I used to watch. Where on earth is the evidence that he did that? Where's the evidence to send him to death for that? No crime scene, no witnesses, no DNA. And there was DNA, but he could be excluded from the DNA. There was nothing. His phone pinged off a cell tower. That's it.
Well, I mean,
that's what he got convicted.
Reasonable doubt. He looked good for it, so they figured he must have done it.
But it's the way I'll be a little. It's a little bit squeamish. He sledgehammered the family to death,
right, including the two children.
That's mess. That's blood spatter. That's a horrific way to go. There's going to be a hell of a mess somewhere. Now the prosecutor said, "Oh yeah, no, they died in a house." No man alive can clean a house that well.
I mean, see, the problem too is that so much time, there was time from when they went missing till they were discovered to be missing. There was so much time from when they disappeared to when he was arrested. Who knows? You just have to fill in the blanks because there just has been so much time.
And you believe one bloke did all of that and then one bloke dug the graves in the desert, and then covered them up, and that is a lot of work. How one bloke to take control of a family of 4, kill them, clean up, and dig their graves?
Refresh my memory about their bodies. They found them in the desert. Were they in a skeletal state?
They found them buried in the desert.
I mean, he could have drugged them one by one. Like, who knows? It's just too difficult to know so many years away from the crime scene and the evidence. But
yeah, I don't think there were any drugs were found in there.
Yeah, I can't remember how their bodies were found, but I mean,
but his lawyers were absolute, like Laura and Hardy.
Yeah,
they were like, they ended up falling out in the end, and they ended up. I felt sorry for them.
It's crazy to think, how did they get a conviction? But I'm always like, how did they get an indictment? How did they even bring charges? Much less convict them.
Even on the steps outside the court, they were asking questions. Oh no, we don't know where they were killed.
Yeah, we don't have to. We just have to. Yeah, that they don't have to prove that. They don't have to show that.
It's such a brutal death. Again, this comes back to people who've done it before. I don't think a first-time killer or someone who's never killed or got a record of being violent, can, let alone a sledgehammer to a child.
Right.
I mean, it's not.
Then bury them, and then clean up, and then bury them in a desert, and then be so cooperative. And if he did it, he deserves to burn in hell. Don't get me wrong. But again, I don't think whoever did this crime is a one-time offender. I just can't see it.
Well, and it's like you get to a certain point where you're like, well, who else could it be? It had to have been him, It
was a shame. There was another business partner of mine. Don't forget the other business partner. They couldn't even find him for the trial. They couldn't even find him to bring him down for the trial.
But he didn't owe them money, right?
No, but there was a falling out, and by all accounts, anyway, he was a bit more shady than Merritt. But
it's that whole money. It's the money that gives motive. You know, that's the only motive they can come up. It was like 60 grand or something. Yeah, it wasn't like millions of dollars or anything. It's like 40 or something grand.
So I honestly, it sounds to me more like a professional hit.
With a, I mean,
that's what it sounds to me like. It's a professional hit.
Professionals don't make a mess. You know, they just
not these guys because no one found the.
You know, they just.
But
so who said the sledgehammer thing? Is that what the prosecution thought, or is that,
say that again?
Who said the sledgehammer thing?
The sledgehammer was found in the graves, I think.
Oh, okay. So maybe he bludgeoned them in the grave. But how did he get 4 adults there? Two there.
2 adults, 2 kids.
2 adults. Yeah, exactly. 4 people there.
Dig the graves. Surely, if he dug the graves, his phone would have pinged off the tower
at some point.
More than once.
But regardless, to do all of that, to think of leaving your phone at home, to drive there and do that, like you said, this is not the work of somebody who's an amateur. You know, that's quite a lot of preparation and backtracking and covering your ass, of which they did a good job because it took a long time for him to get arrested for this. I thought this would never be solved, especially with the video that we presumed for a while was the family crossing the border. You know, it shed a lot of doubt on whether they were even murdered in the first place.
Right. One of the most baffling parts of the case for me was when they brought this video, this quote damning video evidence of a truck coming out of the driveway. It could have been any truck in the world. All you saw was headlights.
Right.
You didn't see anything else.
Right.
And for a whole day, they were going back and forth with some fancy computer graphics people. But it could have been anyone. It could have been anything. And I was amazed he got death penalty for that. If he's got to appeal it, he has to appeal it.
I'm pretty sure he gets an automatic appeal to the death sentence, so we'll see what happens.
Oh, like I said, if he did it, burn in hell. It's just a horrific crime, but I'm just not convinced.
Well, and you would think after you get the death penalty for a crime, you'll admit it. Like, what's the point of not admitting it at that point? You know, so maybe after his appeal goes through, and maybe if his appeal is denied, maybe at that point he'll come clean. You know.
I think
I don't know if he
take it to the grave with him, and that's scary. You know,
the fact what's the point?
There's no way out at this point, but you'll still take this to the grave with you. That's
only he knows. Only he knows if he did or not, I suppose.
Right.
But hopefully he gets some new lawyers because they were absolute rubbish.
Yeah.
They really were. They were not very good. I watched it from gable to gable, and the judge really didn't really get a handle on it early on. So there was lots of sniping and lots of playing up for the cameras and stuff like that. What else have I watched on there? Oh, I've watched loads of stuff on there. Oh, there's what's he called? Again, DNA. The guy who got hooked on the Grant Amato. Did you see that one?
What's that?
I don't
know.
Tell us
killed
more.
His whole family because he loved some Polish girl on the internet.
Really?
He kept borrowing money to give to her, and he killed his whole family over that. That was an interesting case to see.
It sounds like an episode of 90 Day Fiancé. I don't know if you're familiar with that over there across the pond.
He just completely fell in love with some sex worker online.
Yeah. I remember the case.
Really?
Grant Amato, yeah. Amato, yeah.
I can't remember the names.
Interesting.
But yeah, there's all the cases of we don't have many serial killers in England, but we do, but we only hear about them. There was one of the worst serial rapists we've ever had has recently been caught. He's Indonesian by originally, and we didn't hear about him until after a second trial.
Oh.
It's all to do with not giving them publicity.
Yeah.
We don't give them publicity. We don't give them names. We don't.
And that ties in with what you were saying about the media. Like,
yeah.
On the one hand, it's like Their job is to inform. But
Right.
if you're going to inform about some things, you got to inform about everything, you know?
We had a female serial killer called Joanne Donahue, who, well, she was kind of a spree serial. There was a little bit of timing, but we didn't hear about her until after a trial, after she'd been sentenced. Because we just don't want to give fame. We don't want to give them.
Well, and I don't know how you guys do your trials. Is it by jury or is it by judge or?
I don't know if you can choose. In some states in America, you can choose, can't you? You can choose for a judge only or jury.
You can, but it's usually a jury trial.
Here, I think it's jury. Yeah, I think it's.
Yeah, well,
jury
that's a good way not to taint the jury pool, you know, as well, because a lot of times the jury goes in there accidentally prejudiced. I mean, the way our media is, you can't, if you are one who watches the news, it's very difficult to avoid knowing things, even if you don't want to. you your rabbit hole.
With the popularity of podcasts.
Netflix has just brought out a media trial.
I started watching that.
I'm going to watch. It's on my list.
I haven't started yet, but I'm going to watch that.
Yeah.
I saw the first three.
There's so many live, and again in England, or as I was saying earlier about Denzel Washington's brilliant, the race to be first.
Yeah.
Oh, it's super. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I recommend it so much. It should be played regularly. It really should. So many lives have been ruined by false accusations and false media reporting about murders and links and that's his name. No, that's his name. No, that's his name. No, that's his name.
Are you talking? Are you talking about the Jamie Bulger murderers?
Oh man, no. See, that's another thing. I don't really agree with lifelong anonymity.
Right? Why do you get to?
Especially after he got arrested for child porn.
I covered this case on my show. And
oh, you did?
Yeah,
what's your show called?
Murderous Minors. I do a show just about kids who kill. But yeah, I covered it and I went all the way. I waited a little bit until there was actually just some outstanding hearings in court. You know, one of them was just in prison not too long ago. But I mean, I understand, but I mean, if you're let out having paid your debt to society, then we've paid our debt to you as well. We shouldn't have to protect you any longer. Move somewhere where no one will know where you are. That's all we can do for you, you know?
One of them's actually kept his nose quite clean, I think. One of them, well, so to speak. One of them, I think, he's shown signs of developing normal, should we say, going back to normal life. But one of them is quite obviously a very damaged human being, unfortunately. But it's a shocking crime, absolutely shocking crime.
Yeah.
It was.
And I wonder
if his family
is keeping his nose clean. Is that the one? Is that
who played one of the two
part in the situation? You know,
it's exactly the one that you would think it would be. And the one who continues to, reoffend is exactly the one you would think it would be.
But if you look at the support the Madeleine McCann family have had, and you look at the support the Bulger family have had, now the Bulger family did nothing wrong. They didn't leave their kids unattended. It was literally grabbed from her hand outside the shop, and taken to the railway track. The Madeleine McCann was left completely unattended.
There's negligence there.
One family's had £12 million spent on the investigation and met all the important people in the world. And poor old Denise Ferguson.
That's right.
Has fought her own battle, really.
Right.
The double standard.
People want to advocate for the anonymity of one of the killers. And it's like, she still has multiple children that she's raising and who've grown up and have to deal with this shit on a regular basis. Her other kids who don't even remember their brother, but they still have to deal with this because this freak wants to come live in his old neighborhood. You know what I mean? It's just like, no.
You ever heard of Maxine Carney in Huntley?
No, I don't think so.
You haven't heard of the Soham murders?
Mm-mm.
No? Well, one of them, Maxine Carr, the accomplice, was actually living about 15 minutes away from me up until a couple of years ago.
Wow.
My friend's a postman, and she's in witness protection or whatever the hell they call it, new ID. But she's got real distinctive, upper face is quite distinctive. So no haircut can change it. And
yeah.
And he opened the door and he went, "Oh, there's your." He knew straight away. He was like, "Holy crap!" And he couldn't tell anyone.
Yeah.
But a couple of months later, he told me, and a couple of other people in Penryn who live opposite her go, "Yeah, no, we had police knock on our door and said you literally can't. We can't tell you who's living there, but we can't. Please don't tell anyone." But yeah, he looked that murder. He looked that case up. He was caught. Ian Huntley. He murdered 2 girls in England, and he was caught after Sky News did an interview with him. The police asked. They were very clever. They asked. He was trying to be as helpful as possible. He was at all the searches and inserting himself into the investigation. And in his interview with Sky News, he referred to them in past tense.
Wow.
Got him.
Bingo.
He said, got him.
Yeah.
Bingo. And it was that case really did grit this country. Like, the 2 beautiful little girls, we still don't really know what happened. Not a clue. Only Ian Huntley knows how those 2 girls ended up, unfortunately, dead. But again, if you like that kind of a case and a good outcome like that, of maybe look it up. It's
Ian Huntley. I think I have heard of him.
The media could be the biggest weapon in crime. If social media could be the best. Why has the FBI most wanted? Why have they not got a Facebook page with posters for people to share of all that? I don't think they have they?
Because people fuck up.
Social media, one click,
because the first time they see somebody that looks like that person, and they going all in, and
that's good though. That's what you want.
Yeah, unless it's not the person.
Oh yeah, vigilantes.
We got people out here that's, like I say, Batman and Robin and all of them that you don't want.
Batman and Robin. We got Johnny English
out there.
We got Johnny
looking for these criminals.
Yeah, you can't even put a cat in a bag anymore without Facebook coming after you.
I mean, what kind of world are we living in? I mean,
and you know what's so funny is that we forget that Luca Magnotta had a human victim. All we talk about is these damn cats.
Talking about the goddamn cat.
He was a human as well.
Right. That to me, and I'm like, okay, now we're getting into something that I can get behind.
Right. And now we understand. Like, I understand the cat videos is what led to him being found. Mm-hmm. But it didn't find him before he killed a person.
And the thing is, by him killing the cats and getting the attention, that might have been what escalated him. They, like they said, they may have created him, because he was, when it was stuck with that one cat.
Yeah.
If they had left it alone, he might have stopped.
Right. If he felt like no one cared, he might have stopped. Oh, and his mother. Goodness sakes, his mother. And she wrote a book with an author that I know a little bit. And he just said that it was something else. Something else. But his mother, that just shows you the apple does not fall far from the tree. I feel like we might have talked about this a little bit when you were in Chris's criminal perspective chat yesterday. I can't remember. I was in everyone's chat. Yeah, I was there. I was there.
You're stalking me. You
stalking me. I am. But today I at least jumped on with you.
You have to join my thingy when I go live.
I absolutely will. Believe that.
I tried it earlier on and no one. Maybe I need to do it at midnight. I tried it at 10 p.m. my time, but maybe I need to go live at midnight or something.
I don't know, but
it's just any case. Just turn up and just discuss any case you want. Oh, someone else is here now.
The first 4 or 5 streams that I did by myself. I had all the spots locked so it wasn't even really something that I considered. But now I've been leaving them open to see what happens. So I don't know. Yeah. I try to stream, even if no one's there, I just stream because I feel like maybe somebody will watch it. I just do it under the pretense that somebody will eventually watch it. And that's just how that's just how I do it.
Yeah. And that's a good way to look at it, because just like I'm like that myself, where show must go on. It can be me, or it can be me and several other people.
Right. It'll always be there to watch. So you just have to act like somebody will always be watching. Luckily, I can talk forever. And like my show is scripted. So I have a lot of things I want to say about these cases that I don't get to say in the medium the way that I do it. So the stream has just been kind of a way for me to give you backstory and catch you up on things. And so I've been really liking it. I'm usually seriously very shy, so it's really strange to feel like, to feel like you can do that and people will actually respond. So actually really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's fun. And
I can't wait to go into it. I really can't. Like I said, it's only my second night, so second time on it. So I'm really enjoying it so far. Like,
you will.
I've been through crime for like 20 odd years, quite intently. Like, on investigations and how they catch these people. Like Mindhunter was amazing for me. Unabomber again. The Unabomber was good. That was a good view for me. How the human mind works, I suppose.
Flipping genius, just the stupidest genius.
Stupid is, stupid does.
Well, it just shows you that if you put your mind to doing something, you can do it no matter whether what, even if you think you're confident, how people are around you are going to react, you can still do it. People do it all the time. They do whatever they want with no regard to what's going to happen to them, So you can do good things that way as well.
Reckless abandon.
Yep. Just wilding out.
Right. Well, we got anything else?
I better get back to work.
I might go to sleep.
Awesome, guys. I'll see you again soon.
Thank you so much for joining me.
I'll see you on Twitter.
Anytime. Yeah, anytime.
And I'll see you. I'm here on Friday. So if you want to be here Friday at 7 with me, I'm here.
Start earlier, man. I can't wait.
Can't do early.
Start early, man.
I can't do early. Oh, because it's late for you, though. Yeah,
it's late for me.
Well, then what? I put my head around it. I wrap my mind around what time I can do it earlier if I can.
Have a tactical nap. That's what I need to have, a tactical nap.
You want me to do it when I'm having my tactical nap, because
just leave us do it. It'll be fine.
2:00 yesterday morning. So shucks. Yeah, I gotta go.
Take care, you two.
It's been a pleasure. Thank
you
very much for joining me.
No problem.
Have a good night.
You too.
Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.